What's the motherfucking deal? Obviously, I didn't save that, fix that. All right. Welcome to Sauce Sports, man. If you're not familiar with Sauce Sports is a Houston, Texas homer network. So that means we're talking all sports, but only Houston. And with that being said, man, I'm your host, Honcho. We have the gentleman, Toxic City Tenny, join us. How you doing this evening, Mr. Tenny?
I'm doing fine, sir. I'm doing great. How about the chat? How y'all doing tonight?
Yes. Hopefully the chat is doing well. We have plenty of sauce to drip with the chat this evening, and so I hope y'all are having a wonderful, terrific Thursday. I know some of y'all may be trying to catch them motherfucking Rockets, drop some buckets, but we'll keep it short and sweet, or we'll just keep it sweet. Or we probably won't do either one of those. We're just gonna drip some sauce. We don't think we keep it too sweet ever. But here's the deal. We got to talk about the most important thing happening in the city tonight before we deep dive into some more Dallas versus Texans trash talk. And again, if you're new to this, man, we do this every evening at 7 p.m. Central Time, except on game days. We go an hour before the game with the pregame show, and we bring it to you immediately after the football games. And basketball games, I don't really think we do a post-game show. I haven't decided on that yet. Sometimes they play a little bit too late for all that action, but we'll see. But here's the deal, man. Make sure you follow Sauce Sports at Sauce Sports HTX on Instagram and Twitter. I be forgetting to plug that shit. I always forget to say it, and people are like, what's the Instagram? What's the Twitter? My fault. Now y'all know. But we got to talk about the most important topic in the city this evening, and that is you, Sauce Nation, the freshest motherfucking ingredients in the world. I don't care what anybody else says about you. I think y'all fresh to death. So I hope y'all are having a good evening. And we're going to talk about it. So, Voodoo Child, Samuel Kuhn, Elver, Galarga. I don't even know how to say that. I probably fucked it up, but hey, forgive me. Debo, H-Town Ice, Heidi, Klein Dentist, Honcho Jewelry, what's the motherfucking deal? J-Pac Joshua, Real Swift, what's the motherfucking deal? Jason Ducey, always good to see you. Wise holding down in the mix. Juan Tenorio, hope I'm saying it. Hope the Texans run the Cowboys out of energy. Absolutely, I hope so too. Let's see. I'm watching the Pats and Colts game. This could be good. Man, fuck both of them, goddamn. We should have beat both of them, but it is what it is. Honcho for president, because look, if I start sending y'all presidential alerts, it's gonna be straight by Rockets, Texans, Astros games. Then Hector gonna hit me, say, make sure you say watch the Dynamo. So I have to send some watch the Dynamo presidential alerts, all that good shit. So you know what I'm saying. Ask Mel, Jamal, what's the motherfucking deal? Austin Tucker, what's the motherfucking deal? But here's the deal. Yes, man, I want to remind y'all, man, make sure you guys tune in. Tomorrow will be a very, very special sauce. We will have a special guest joining us tomorrow evening. One Mr. Seth Payne, OG Texan, and, talk show radio host around the city. So he'll be joining us to stir up some sauce, and I think that will be a very, very special event. So I hope you guys make sure you tell your friends, tell your mama, tell your grandpa who listens to AM radio. Tell him, look, hey, man, look, grandpa, we got this new thing. It's called YouTube. You know what I'm saying? You got to check it out. It's some video on there, so don't be trying to, fight the screen and all that. Don't think your eyes playing tricks on you. But they're going to be talking sports. And tell them check it out, man. But grandpas generally don't like to. Grandpas probably are more Cowboys fans. They probably either were diehard Oilers fans or, they were definitely, they probably might have been with Dallas. Who knows? But we'll see. But anyway, again, appreciate it. Appreciate the love. Beaumont, Texas in the motherfucking mix already. It's Vince Wilfork's homecoming. Oh, ain't that a bitch? That's well, you don't want to talk about that bad barbecuing motherfucker. Fuck you and New England. Of course we're gonna be very, very polite. Seth is gonna be our guest, and we're gonna treat him as such. So it'll be a little bit different the way we do it tomorrow, but you guys will check it out. You guys will see how that rolls. But I want to talk about the Texans versus the Cowboys. I want to get some of Mr. Tenney's opinions tonight on, how he thinks the proceedings will, play out and all of that good jazz. So with that being said, let's get into it. Let's get in it to win it. First thing I want to talk about, man, if you kind of just compare, and I think the first thing that stands out when you're talking about the Texans versus the Cowboys, the first thing people want to talk about is Deshaun and Dakota, because that's been a conversation before. Well, we'll see who the real number 4 is. We'll see who the best quarterback is, and all this stuff. And I think it's by far, it's quite obvious at this point in time that Deshaun Watson is hands down a better quarterback than Dakota will ever be. Dakota had the benefit of a lot of tools, a lot of weapons his first year that were able to alleviate some of the pressure. He still has the main weapon, which is Zeke, that alleviates a lot of the pressure. I'm not sure if Dakota's thrown for 200 yards yet, honestly. And you have Deshaun Watson, who's averaging about 300, if not 300 and some change at this point in the season. But either way, if you want to compare second years, so far so good. We're just talking about statistically, Deshaun Watson is performing better if you're just looking at his statistics. But I kind of want to know your thoughts, Mr. Tenney, when it comes to the comparison of Deshaun Watson and Dakota Rain. I can't even remember what his last name is. Prescott. Dakota Rain, DRP. That's what we should call him, DRP. Dakota Rain Prescott. What stands out to you? What do you notice? And kind of in the end of the episode yesterday, we were trying to figure out if there was any one thing that Dakota did better than Deshaun. And I mean, I think everybody was hard pressed to figure something out. So do you have any opinions on that and just an overall QB comparison in your mind?
Shit, anything that Dak does better than Watson? You know what? If we really want to be honest with ourselves and we want to be non-biased, I guess you could say Dak has a little bit more better decision making. Although he's not like on point with his throws, he does get the ball out a little quicker than Watson, and he does check down probably a little bit better than Watson. So I mean, we can give him that, but I mean, he is a third-year player now, so I mean, he should be doing those things. But I mean, I think everybody in Dallas should be totally over this honeymoon hangover that they had with Dak, because it was obvious when Elliott got forced out last year through the suspensions. I mean, Dak was nothing. I mean, Dak is nothing now. It took Zeke to fucking put up 200 yards rushing last Sunday just to win the game against the fucking Lions. So I mean, the comparison between Dak and Watson is just, I mean, you're basically putting a first round pickup against what was Dak, 5th or 4th round?
Well, more than
so,
usual. I mean, laughing face.
It's not even a comparison. It's like comparing apples to oranges, and you're talking about a bruised orange to a crisp, clean apple off their tree.
Bruised orange to an apple. But I agree with you, man. Yeah, third-year guy versus second-year guy, and it should be obvious at this point. And I think, but you still have a lot of those fair weather Dallas fans who guys who really aren't watching the game. It's just always like, America's team. We're America's team. Which America? South America? Because I don't think that's happening here in the U.S. I don't know what's going on with that. But my deal is this, man. I agree with you. You know, there's small things, but again, he has such a crutch. You know, the funny thing about it is Zeke is the Cowboys' second leading receiver, which is sad, honestly. You got Cole Beasley, who I think only has about maybe 20 more yards than fucking DeAndre had his last game. So, I mean, come on, like that's pretty pathetic. You're talking about 4 games across the season. DeAndre had what you had basically in a game. The rookie came and played 1 game, is not that far off from you, and he's probably got more yards than the majority of your receivers. So, again, you know, I think that's something that you have to be concerned about. Kind of looking at Dak and being realistic, looking at what he's done, I think he had like the honeymoon hangover should be over with. But do you see Dakota really having a long-term position? Because everybody was talking about, it was Dez this and Dez that. That's why Dakota was looking worse because Dez got bad. But now you kind of look at it, I think Dakota's been exposed for what he really is. Do you see him being the man in Dallas for much longer? I mean, if he continues to play the way that he has, because I mean, that's an extremely sharp drop-off from Tony Romo.
I mean, it's really going to come down to the fact that, you know, they missed the playoffs this year. I mean, when is Jerry Jones going to pull the trigger on Jason Garrett? I mean, seriously, that guy's had a head coaching job for way past his expiration date. And quite honestly, I mean, Dak, I mean, I'm not saying that he could do better with another coach, but I mean, you're really getting him into the groove of one system, one kind of coach, somebody who's very subpar. I mean, let's be honest, Jason Garrett is not the best ever at anything. He's not even the best ever backup quarterback that's ever played in this league, and he's not even the best fucking coach that's ever coached in this league, let alone a division in this league. So Dak, I mean, they don't make the playoffs this year. They don't get rid of Jason Garrett next year, and they don't get in the playoffs again. I think the Dallas Cowboys start searching for someone else because, I mean, if you look at the end of the season and you want to say, okay, well, where are the Cowboys going to be at? They don't make the playoffs. They're probably choosing top 15 in the league. It's obvious they'll go for a true number one receiver, and then you follow up the next year and they still don't make the playoffs and the passing numbers are still there. I mean, it's got to fall on Dak's head and Jason Garrett's head. But, of course, Dallas has been, I mean, I guess you could say Jerry Jones and his son have been having their head so far up their ass. They've kind of wasted away a fucking great offensive line that's slowly falling apart. We see it now. We see the injuries starting to creep up on them. We see the ability to pay that line starting to creep up on them. So, I mean, Dallas Cowboys, man, I think they kind of hit their peak with this team that they built together.
Yeah, cut my audio on. So yeah, before I go on my whole spiel, I guess it would help for y'all to hear me. But yeah, I think Dallas kind of, they kind of smelled themselves when they had the whole, first year Dak, the whole Tony Promo situation, and they were feeling like, oh, we finally found that guy. And I think the difference is, the Texans, we were kind of feeling the same way initially with Deshaun's first year, but he was putting up amazing numbers without that line, without a running back of that caliber. And again, but he did have star receiver or top-notch receivers. I would say star receiver in DeAndre, even though a lot of people don't want to give him credit. And we're going to talk about that interview, and I'm kind of let you speak on that a little bit. I want to segue into that. Now, like I said, I only caught brief bits of it. I didn't catch the whole thing, but I saw Deshaun pop his head in, looking like the dude off Mortal Kombat 2. Whoopsie, looking like that motherfucking shit. And he popped in, and they got excited, the damn football crew, Good Morning Football or whatever, and they act like they were some real fanboys. And then, but there were some comments that DeAndre made. Like I said, I caught the one where he basically said, hey, nobody else, no other receiver could do what I did with the quarterbacks I played with. But he said a couple of things, and what I would like for you to kind of deep dive into some of that conversation and your thoughts on that one, Mr. Tenney.
I mean, quite honestly, I love it because we talk all the time that the Texans need guys with edge on their attitude. We need guys that just have that swagger that I'm better than you. And DeAndre Hopkins has that in spades, man. And I mean, if that's not bleeding off on people, then we may need to get some new people in the room. Because quite honestly, I mean, he came out there, he said the thing about no other receiver in this league could do what he did. I went and looked at the comments that people were leaving. They were saying, i.e. Larry Fitzgerald. Now, I get Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald was one of those great receivers. He's going to have a Hall of Fame career. But, I mean, we're talking about right here, right now, within the last 5 years. Now, nobody, including Larry Fitzgerald, has done what DeAndre Hopkins has been able to do. And, I mean, we really got to put that into scope. I mean, this is a guy who's the third quickest player to get to 6,000 yards receiving. The third youngest player or whatever, however they say it or however they word it. But then, I mean, he turned around and he takes his shot at Antonio Brown and Odell. I mean, he says, you see these guys out here getting upset because they got 10 targets in a game or 10 passes catched in a game, and they're upset about that. And he's absolutely right. You couldn't survive on this team or another team like this that puts you through 3 to 4 quarterbacks a year. And try to fucking even put up numbers. I mean, get the fuck out of here. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins always had a mentality that he was going to go out there and catch that ball no matter what. And then one of the other things I liked, I forget the dude's name, the one cocky-ass motherfucker that's on Good Morning Football. He was like, he asked DeAndre Hopkins, he goes, with the addition of Kiki Kuti, the or the arrival of him, does this mean the Texans have the best wide receiving group in the league? And without skipping a beat, DeAndre Hopkins said, "Yes, we are the best in the league." And quite honestly, man, I mean, it's 3 games in a row. I want to say 3 games, 4 games in a row. We have 2 wide receivers catching over 100 yards each. I mean, it's crazy, man. I mean, once this O-line can get fixed, and if it gets fixed, this offense is going to be very strong, very hard to deal with, and they're going to be able to give you so many different looks as long as we stay healthy.
Yeah, I agree with you. And yeah, I think with the addition of Kiki and, you know, actually some of the skill sets that he bring, I was watching a little bit of breakdown on him, and man, yeah, he's nice. Again, well worth the wait. All the shit that I talked about, you know, him being hurt and taking a little bit, I will eat a small crow, a little small crow on that, because he was as advertised, you know, and could have did a little bit more, had a couple little drops, but it could have been a lot. I mean, I won't say a lot better, but it could have been even more than what he had. So I'm not going to complain about it. I like what was happening. Man, Texas T, I see you say that Clowney helped luck up on one of those sacks. And again, that's part of that exactly. That's that shit that I'm talking about, this Texans personality about, you know, being friendly. Hey, you get them motherfuckers down, fuck them. You know what I'm saying? Shit, the fucking NFL probably give your ass a fine for helping quarterbacks up next. That'll be the next thing that they'll fucking do. He tried to squeeze his finger when he helped him up. That was the finger on his throwing hand. $10,000 fine. Like, I mean, I wouldn't even touch that motherfucker. Like, if I got to say, I wouldn't even want to. I'd be like, fuck them and everything they stand for.
You know what? All them white fans up in Indianapolis probably gasped when that big black man stood over him and grabbed his hand.
What is going on? I don't like this. But that's fucking funny. My thing is this, though, man. Looking at a couple of things. I want to look at, you know, the defense from the last couple of games. You know, J.J. Watt with AFC Defensive Player of the Month. You got Jadeveon Clowney, AFC Defensive Player of the Week. You know, so they got to share at least a week together. Look, this is my week, motherfucker. You can have the rest of the month. But my thing is this. Are we at a point where the Texans defense has finally arrived? Do you think they just kind of ate on a lackluster team in the Colts? Can we put this together consistently? Because even with those guys playing well, I mean, if you look at the stat sheet, it was awful. And, you know, just where the Texans are ranked, just looking at the defense right now in points, giving up 27 a game, yards giving up 382.2, which I think is good for 22nd or 27th. I can't remember. I got some scribbly handwriting there, so don't blame me. Another thing that's 22nd. The passing yards, 280 a game, which is good for 27th. Now, rushing, they're only giving up 95 yards a game, which is good for 9th in the league. So I think all those statistics as far as the defense, it doesn't look good. Yeah, 2 of our stars are starting to show up. But, I mean, this team as a whole is just not – it seems like they're not putting it all together. The turnovers you know, they did have the touchdown turnover, but I mean the interceptions, things like that you would like to see, especially with quarterbacks putting up so many passes. Because Luck threw damn near 60 passes damn near last game. You would think, you know, a couple of these would be interceptions, but is that a concern to you, or do you feel like, you know, these guys are still shaking off a little bit of rust and it would only get better as the season goes along?
I got to be honest, man. I know that it was a show that we did probably like during the preseason. I said that I think that the Texans were going to be giving up this many points, like honestly, because I felt that the offense would be capable of putting up that many points. So it'd just be natural that most offenses have to counter that. But logically speaking, through football sense and through football fan eyes, I mean, bad secondaries can hurt, or can just mask the fucking greatness of what you can have on your defensive front seven. I mean, let's take an example. 2 guys that weren't exactly as good as Watt or Clowney at that point in time. We'll compare Clowney to Bruce Irvin, and we'll compare Watt to Mack with the Raiders. They suffered with the fact that they didn't have a very good secondary that could back them up, could help put the fires out and help keep these teams corralled. And I think seeing Mack move from the Raiders to the Bears, where the Bears absolutely have a better secondary than what the Raiders have, you get to see him feed off of that success. You get to see him be capable to make his mark on the game and then be backed up by a halfway decent secondary. And quite honestly, right now with the Clowney Watt thing, is they're going to come into their own. They're going to make moves that stall the opposing offense. I mean, you kind of look at it and you could say that Clowney was the exact reason why the fucking Colts lost that game. So, I mean, you know, they'll make their marks, but this secondary is always going to be that hindrance to where they don't have any help putting the fire out.
I'm glad you mentioned that secondary because now Colvin is out along with the GOAT, Kevin Johnson, who we've been missing for a while. Yeah, I said it. But now another blow to that secondary, man, and now you have Sharice Wright, who has been, I'll be honest, been kind of 50-50. The first game didn't look so good. This Colts game, he had plays that he made, but then he also had plays that he gave up. So I would say he's 50-50. I'll take that over getting burnt every time. But now you have Kayvon Webster, I think, supposed to be good to go finally this Sunday. You know, after signing him early in the season, we'll see what he's able to contribute to the Texans team. I mean, how do you feel personally? Do you feel like he could be an asset that he's going to bring something to the table, or is that a concern? Are you concerned about another situation similar to what we've already been having with some of these DBs that, you know, haven't been just top notch?
Man, it's coming down to a situation that it's very obvious that Brian Gaines was playing money ball with a lot of these positions that he signed players to. He was trying to sign guys that had decent enough stats, and he wanted to sign guys with similar stats to where they could stack up on top of each other. You know, what was like movie Moneyball with Brad Pitt. You know, you take three guys that are just as good, or that stats can stack together and add together to make stats that compare to what AJ Boye gave us back when we had him. So, I mean, we got that situation going on right now. I mean, I think if you could have Kayvon Webster, Aaron Colvin, and I want to throw up just trying to say it, but I mean, maybe Kevin Johnson, maybe Sharice Wright all out there at the same time, we could hinder weaker offensive cores, but at the same time, I mean, most teams have a number one outside of Dallas. I mean, fuck, man. I mean, you just can't win a football game playing it that way. And I think Kayvon Webster will come in. He's going to have a slow start to the season because he hasn't played yet. Most cornerbacks do have slow starts to the season, especially the ones that aren't good. So, I mean, it's just a shitty situation there where we got a guy who had a busted-ass Achilles fucking sit here, catch an easy check for God knows why. I mean, fucking just could have let him sit out on free agency and signed him last week, and then he would still be available. Fucking, I still don't understand why Andre Sacheret is not on this team yet, or not signed to the active roster, not playing, because I have a feeling that we're going to get to fucking like week 10, and then they'll finally sign him, and it'll be like that fucking Arian Foster year where he was wearing, like 37 or 34, came out of nowhere running the ball for us, and everybody's like, who the fuck is this guy? So, I mean, I think Sacheret will come into a role like that, like week 10 or week 11, and everybody's going to be like, who is this? Why have we not had him out there? So, I mean, I'm still frustrated at the whole secondary situation. Sharice Wright, I mean, he better fucking get good in a heartbeat. And Kayvon Webster, I mean, motherfucker, I don't give a fuck if it wasn't your fault. I don't give a fuck if your agent is smooth as fuck with the grease in your hair. I mean, fucking, it's on you right now. You don't show up on fucking Sunday night? Whoa, trust me. There's already Texans fans wanting your ass out of here. So, I mean, don't give us fucking more of a reason.
And I'm glad you mentioned Sunday night. So you know what I'm going to talk about, man. The Texans and prime time historically have not been the best of buds. The Texans, man, I'm going to tell you the game that I always think about because I remember, I can't remember what bar it was. I want to say it was down in Midtown somewhere. It was the Baltimore game. I want to say was that the Monday Night Football game. And I remember watching this game, man. Whole game, guys sitting at the bar, never said anything. You know, I think we came back, ended up going into overtime. Schaub does what Schaub does best in overtime. Throws the game away, literally. Guy goes crazy, just goes nuts. Yeah, Baltimore, that's what I'm saying. Like, man, if you don't shut the fuck up. I was so mad. Like, it was a situation. I was about to beat the brakes off that dude. Like, I had to punk the dude. Didn't know him for no reason. Man, you don't shut the fuck up. This motherfucker ain't said shit about this game the whole time. I've been in here cheering, talking all my shit about the Texans. You been right there. You ain't said a motherfucking thing. And then now they didn't want you and got all excited. I wanted to beat the brakes off that dude, man. I probably wanted to beat up Schaub more so, but he was the next best thing. But he got all quiet, and the chick went, what is he mad about? I'm mad because the motherfucking Texans lost, bitch. What the fuck you think I'm mad about, goddamn? But the Texans in prime time. I'm not a bad guy, really, I promise I'm not. But the Texans in prime time are not always successful, man. So I'm almost more worried about the prime time slot being more dangerous than the Dallas Cowboys when it comes to this matchup. But again, so, Deshaun having a chance to put his skills on display in front of the whole world while everybody is watching. I think this guy shows up for big games, so I'm kind of hoping that whole primetime legacy has turned around a little bit, because I think he shows up when the lights come on, when it's the biggest. Now it's about the rest of the team being able to do the same thing. But with that added weapon in QT, Will Fuller being a go, Miller supposed to be healthy, being a go, I'm hoping that a lot of things can work out, because what QT does, he's able to take a lot of pressure off. I won't even say the line, more so the tackles, because that's where we have the problem. Like I say, the interior line, they haven't been the greatest. Nick Martin has been solid, but Fulton, haven't heard his name a lot. So as far as the lineman goes, that's a good deal to me. Kelamete's had a couple little issues, it's injuries and things like that. But Rankin is stanking. Lamb was a better version of what we would expect to see from Davenport, I guess. But so I won't talk too much shit about Lamb. It was better than what Davenport was giving us. But do you think that the primetime situation will have an outcome? We'll have an outcome on this game, man. How do you feel that that'll affect the Texans, or do you think this is a new Texans team and that won't be an issue?
The only issue really is through our short tenure of being alive as a franchise. I didn't say French fries. I said franchise. We've had not exciting coaches. Guys who don't fucking light it up with original play calling and this and that. Now, granted, I didn't see the Indianapolis game, so I can't speak to what Bill O'Brien did in that first half. But I can say this much. If he can replicate what he did in that first half and keep it going, we have a shot at beating the Cowboys. Right now, Cowboys are clearly the favorite in this game, just for the simple fact is that our offense has been so stagnant and so up and down and so just like, I guess you could say, lights on, lights off kind of factor going on, because they had a really good first half this last game, but kind of followed it up with only 10 points in the second half. So you got to see them go out there and actually put that on the field, actually earn it. And as far as this primetime shit, like I've seen us have some good slugging, knockdown, drag out fights on primetime. It's possible. We've had a lot worse than we've had a lot good. So it's kind of like a fucking up in the air coin toss to say who's going to be better, who's going to do this, and who's going to do what. But we definitely need Kiki to come back out and be a dog again. Like I said, if he wanted to do anything, he needs to come out in that cold game and have a fucking badass game. He did it. We need him to follow that up once again. We need DeAndre Hopkins to have another 160-yard game. We need Will Fuller to put his numbers back up. He had a touchdown and 59 yards, but that's good enough. Let's get everybody involved. Like everyone says, we need to see Lamar Miller pushing that ball down the field a little bit more. We need to see these tight ends getting out there and tiring out those cornerbacks, because, what kind of fucking 5'9", 5'10" dude wants to really get swallowed up by a dude that's like 6'3", pushing you down the field?
Absolutely, man, absolutely. But here's the deal. We're gonna open up the line here just shortly, but I want to say shout out to Chandler, because Chandler holds it down. Shout out to VD Child, and double checking, making sure we weren't having the same technical difficulties as yesterday. So I appreciate that. For those of you who do not know the number to the Sauce line, here's the text numbers you can text right now, or I guess I should cut that off. You can text right now, and then we'll open it up for calls here in about 5 minutes or so. But another thing, we've got a very interesting scenario taking place. And we got a battle of brothers going on, Nick and Zach. If you were a parent, we're going to play hypothetical. I think say you had two sons playing on separate teams. It could be Little League. It could be high school. I don't know, I guess high school, they would go to the same school. They play on the same team. But maybe you got a baby mama. She got one kid on the other side of town. You know what I'm saying? You got one kid over there, so they got to play each other. But if you had two kids playing against each other, man, I mean, how do you handle a situation? In your opinion, how would you handle a situation like that? And then when it comes to offensive line play, which one of these guys do you think is going to have a better game overall or be a better protector?
I know it's fucked up to say, man, but I'm gonna go with the kid that I'm closer to. I mean, if you ain't close to, like, I know you love both your kids. You ain't got no other reason to but love all your kids. Like, no matter how many kids you got, but you always got one kid that you're closer to than the other one. And quite honestly, I mean, whichever Martin brother is really close to their dad and mom, I can almost expect them to be more excited to watch that son play. But to see which O-line is going to do better, it's probably going to be the Cowboys, for the simple fact that I can't trust our offensive line, man. I think the most reliant player that we got is Nick Martin, and I don't really see anybody outside of that. I mean, maybe Mance showing up like he does always to save the day, and Fulton might be able to pair that together. But until we figure out what the fuck's going on at tackle, I mean, we got old little T-Rex arms fucking ranking out there on the left side, and we got fucking Davenport constantly getting fucking penalties on the right side. So I mean, it's terrible. I mean, we can't even say that we're half as good as the fucking Dallas Cowboy O-line.
You know what makes me sad is the T-Rex used to be my favorite dinosaur, but that doesn't apply when it comes to football. And another thing, man, it was funny that that the Martins. It makes me think about how they used to say what's his name used to always say about Curtis Martin, my favorite Martin. That's what it makes me think about which parents, hey, which one is their favorite Martin. But here's the deal. We've got a couple other things I want to address, but we're going to pop open the number here. We're going to open up the sauce line. But before we do that, give me just 1 second. I want to make sure and check that the audio is appropriate, because I didn't get a chance to check right before. So give me a brief second, and we'll be back. Give me about 15 seconds. We'll make sure everything is copacetic, and we'll open up the sauce line, and we'll take your calls, man. We got plenty more Dallas trash to talk. We haven't even got to the good stuff yet. Just wait. All right, there we go. We're back. Had to make sure everything was copacetic. So like I say, there's the number. Let me actually open up the line. Well, my fat fingers will work. There we go. All right. I'm learning technology. There we go. All right, cool. So, again, we got a text coming in from Chandler. Chandler says, hey, shout out Honcho and Tenny. Hey, why we have a bad O-line? Is that ever since we signed Tony Baselli and he didn't play it down for us, that's why we're cursed. Man, I think so. I think we had a period where we had probably the best O-line. We had a period where we had every O-line was damn near a Pro Bowler. So I definitely wouldn't say we just had it all the way bad. We got a call coming in though. What's the motherfucking deal? Who we got calling in on the sauce line this evening?
Man, this is Kenneth.
Kenneth, first and foremost, before you ask a question, do you have a game this week?
Yeah, actually, I played yesterday.
You played yesterday. How did it turn out?
We lost George Ranch.
Okay. But did you play well?
Yeah, I played. I got a couple tackles in there. I actually had me a sack, too, ain't gonna lie.
Okay. All right. So what's your question, Kenneth?
All right, so it was just 2 points that I kind of wanted to touch on. The first one is about DeAndre Hopkins going into this game. And I've seen this one dude in the chat that said Byron Jones has a 90.0 PFF grade on bro. Number one, bro, it's week 4. Start worrying about a PFF grade, all right? You know, we've seen DeAndre Hopkins go up against the best corners in the league. Patrick Peterson, Jalen Ramsey, A.J. Bouye, Marcus Peters, and he's toasted all over. So I'm not worried about Byron Jones. Byron Jones is a nobody. Until he makes an all-pro team like Hopkins, I'm not worried about him. And even then, I'm not worried about Jalen Ramsey. I'm not worried about none of those because I know what Hopkins can do. Best receiver in the league still. But the other point that I wanted to get into is that the Cowboys did, before the season started, they did get the defensive back coach from Seattle. So he's their secondary/DB coach, and that was the same coordinator that we dropped 38 points against on in Seattle. So he was coaching that same secondary that had way better talent than the Cowboys do now, with a worse offensive line than we had that same game. So I feel like, we should be able to thrive, easily in the passing game. I feel like we should be able to have at least 400 yards passing again from Deshaun Watson, because, with that talent that we have now, and we're having Kiki Kuti this game, we didn't have him last year, obviously. But I feel like we got better talent now, and, we went up against the same coordinator, so we should be able to, exploit the same things that he did last year.
Okay. Man, I agree with you on it's a very valid point, though, man. Yeah, if we could do it against the Seahawks, I think the Texans just having to find their groove, man. If we could do it against the Seahawks and succeed, we could definitely do it against that Dallas secondary. I'm just really not all that excited about it. Now, I do want to talk about, though, when we're going to talk about defensively, Dallas is not bad defensively. Again, you could say, well, you could take a look at some of the teams they played, but their numbers are pretty nice. Matter of fact, we'll run it down real quick because compared to what we got, it's kind of a vice versa. It's almost like our situation. Our defense is looking ass in most categories. Offense is looking okay. Their offense is looking ass in most categories, but their defense is actually looking pretty nice. Let me see what I got jotted down here. Look, I've been taking notes and shit. I'm trying to be a better saucinator. So here's the deal. Giving up 19.2 points a game, got them 7th in the league. 306 yards a game, got them 5th in the league. 208 passing yards a game, 6th in the league. And only giving up 97.8, which is 12th in the league as far as yards rushing. So, I mean, their defense, it appears to be, I won't say just stout, but they've been doing pretty well as far as defensively. So I'm not going to sit here and talk shit. They got Lawrence, they got a couple other guys, and I wanted to compare. Yesterday we compared the Battle of the Fours. We talked about that a little bit earlier. But I want to talk about the Battle of the 90s. Will Jadeveon show up? Will Lawrence show up? Who's going to be that man? Who's going to be the one that takes it to the next level and has the better performance, man? Tenny, do you have a thought on who is going to have a better game? Will it be Lawrence against the Texans' porous O-line, or will it be Clowney finding his groove against that Dallas O-line? What is your thoughts on that one?
Quite honestly, Lawrence plays DN, right? I just want to make sure. I want to say Lawrence is probably going to make the most impact at the beginning of the game, but if Rack is smart, they'll put Clowney in those situations to fucking take on Zeke, because I think Clowney can absolutely nullify Zeke in this game, and we all know Clowney is not a sack artist. He does not fucking make the sack lunches. He gets the TFLs. He fucking can get up on fucking Zeke and make his day horrible, because that's the most important part about this game is nullifying Zeke. If we can get Clowney to nullify him, if we can get fucking I guess some back end help from our linebackers to fucking help nullify what Zeke can do, we're probably going to succeed in this game.
Got a call coming in on the Sauce line. What's the motherfucking deal? Who do we have calling in on the Sauce line this evening?
All right,
Hey, what's up, Honcho? This is Ernest, man.
Ernest, what's the motherfucking deal, man? What kind of sauce you want to drop on the sauce line tonight?
Hey, real quick, man, before I get to the Texans, I heard y'all talking a little MMA yesterday, huh?
Yeah, we gonna probably talk about a little more Saturday, but yeah, what's happening?
Yeah, man, I just want to say, man, you know how the saying go, let sleeping dogs lie. Well, when it comes to Khabib, man, let sleeping bears lie. Conor jugging that man, knowing this dude, 26-0, never lost a round, and Khabib gonna maul that boy like he do everybody else. Yeah. But anyway, I just want to throw that out there, man. But on them Texans, we all know teams don't start playing their best ball till around week 4, week 5. Houston dropped a couple early that they should have won, and they got the win last week. So I'm thinking, man, we're going to knock off the Cowboys this week, knock off them Bills, and be 500 when we meet them Jags. And you know, by then we should be in prime form week 7. So that's my thought. I'd like to know what y'all think about that, man.
Okay. Man, good point, man. Very good point. Appreciate the call, Ernest, man. Dropping some sauce on the sauce line this evening. I'd agree, man. You know, it just takes a little bit. That has been kind of the thing with Cornell, and I just think that it seems like this year it jumped off a little bit worse, in my opinion. But then if you look back, you know, last year, he wasn't here. The Texas defense did start off slow, and then the whole team fell off after that. But they kind of start finding their groove a little bit later in the season, and it could be another similar situation. And I look back and I talk about, you know, the CBA, and I talk about, you know, some of the things now the NFL players bargain for. Yeah, they bargain for everything but some money, and then they get mad, you know, these basketball players getting paid. Look, I need to treat your money right, be able to afford a holdout, and let some of these guys lose some money before y'all start complaining. Y'all be in a better situation. That's just my thoughts on that. But you know, because they want, you know, shorter practices, they don't want to deal with as much. Then I think going to the Greenbrier, I think that climate change personally, I think that has something. I mean, there needs to be some research that needs to go into that climate change from West Virginia to Texas, and doing that so abruptly, I think that has an effect on the body. And just, I don't know, it's like these guys don't get all the way back to form the last couple of seasons like they should. But hopefully, I think that contract is over with the Greenbrier. But I could agree with you, man. Week 7, that would be a viable target for these guys to really be playing well, and I'm hoping that you're right on that one. I'm actually hoping that you're a little wrong. I hope they ready Sunday, goddamn. But I could take that. Your thoughts on that one, Tenny? How do you feel about that?
I mean, he's absolutely right. I mean, if you want to be hopeful, I mean, the Texans really do suffer from a lot of gunshots to their own feet or their own leg. I mean, we keep shooting ourselves every time we turn around and create all these fucking penalties. I mean, we're having fucking games with 10-plus penalties, and this is hurting our execution. And if they can get sharper mentally, then their talent is going to shine through. And, yeah, we could definitely compete again in this league, and we could probably compete in the long run and things. But right now it's coming down to every phase of our game, from coaching to game planning to player prep, player execution. I mean, we're fucking up in each phase of how you go into a game, because it shows exactly every time we turn around and we have these damn troubles that we have. I mean, it's clear and present that each phase is failing at something, and each phase is having miscues. So, I mean, if they can start turning that shit around, and if the Colts game was evident of that, then, yeah, I mean, this is going to be a great game to watch on Sunday night. But, I mean, we got to take things for the face value of what they are. The Texans have proven not to be that kind of team that can just turn it over turn over a new leaf over fucking one night, over one game, over 1 week. I mean, we've seen the same story with Bill O'Brien, and quite honestly, it's very concerning, because compared to his previous years, we are looking at complete regression throughout his entire game planning, his entire coaching, his entire player response, and player preparedness. So, I mean, yeah, it could happen that way, but I wouldn't hold my breath.
And I agree with you, man. It's like we've always seemed to be a sporadic team. You know, we had the 12-4 where we had a nice little streak going, but it just seems like, you know, that we fizzled out at the end. But it's about getting those good, nice, long win streaks going. But it's not like that. It's like we get a little patch going here. We fuck up here games we should win. We lose. It might be a game that we shouldn't win. Somehow we squeak it out. But it's ugly. Some things maybe fall in our favor, which that happens very rarely. I would say the Colts game, a situation. I mean, honestly, had old buddy not made that play call, we could be talking about a completely different situation. So I mean, I don't know what to take of that. That's why I say I'm kind of sketchy. I want to be back like, hey, okay, the Texans got it together, but at the same time, I'm concerned because it's like there were some things that happened in that game that tell me not to be thrilled by it. But I'll take a win no matter how you got to get it, But I mean, because I look at the luck numbers, way too much. I mean, for a guy, again, like I say, with the noodle arm action, way too much. Just some of the plays that we gave up. The Kuti, big plus. Fuller getting dinged up. I think that it would have been a different situation had he played the second half, and I think they said that he was good to go. But I think that they thought, well, we had a lead. No reason to play him, no reason to put him back in, and then you saw that dissipate very quickly. But a couple of things I want to speak on is something that you mentioned when you were talking about the penalty situation. I'm just looking at it right now. The Texans have given up in 4 games, 34 penalties, 236 yards in penalties. That's completely unacceptable. You cannot win games doing things like that. You have, as compared to our opponents, have given up 27 for 211 yards. Now, that's only a 20-yard difference, but I mean, you got to think about when these penalties come, the key situations in which they happen. And our 2 leading guys are, one, I'll take it to anybody want to take a wild guess. Of course, it's Davenport, leading the team with 6 penalties. And then you have Clowney with 3 penalties. And so, the rest of the guys, a couple of ones. I think somebody, I want to say, I think the Lamb have 2, something like that. But a couple of guys with some other penalties, then again that are unacceptable. But I mean, it's a problem. It's a problem. The only team that had more penalty yards than us that we played was Indy, and so that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's all the little things that I'm looking at. It's like we're gonna have to go out and play mistake-free football. I'm talking all this shit about Dak, but I talked the same shit about Luck, because he was only putting up a couple of hundred, not even 200 yards a game. He had one game, I think he had 3 something, but he had to throw his fucking arm off. But then he had 100 and some change the next 2 games, and against us he goes for 4 and sets a fucking career record. I mean, I've told you about that boy Hartenstein, and I've been telling you about Hartenstein for a minute. He go, we don't need no Rhino. We only allow like one white guy on the Rockets, and so he's going to be the man. So I'm telling you, he's going to be the Rhino replacer. So hopefully Rondo's doing whatever he's doing, wherever he's doing it at. I don't really give a shit. But again, the penalties are killer. They are a killer, and that's the thing that we have to get over. What do you think the impact of the absence of Sean Lee is going to be? I mean, I think has he missed a couple of games already, actually? But I'm not sure. But I know he won't be available. I'm hearing that he won't be available this game. Do you think that'll – I mean, of course, it'll be a benefit to the Texans, but how do you think the Texans could exploit that?
I think they're used to it. I'm trying to think, man. I don't think Sean Lee's had a healthy full season the last 3 or 4. I want to maybe last year he did a full season, but I can't remember the last time Sean Lee was completely healthy. I mean, I think ever since he got knocked the fuck out in that Seattle game a few years back, I mean, he can't stay healthy. I mean, you couldn't pay him to stay healthy. Fucking and you know what? I was just thinking, they got somebody. Oh, Randy Gregory was hurt too, and he hasn't been participating in practice at all. So I mean, they're suffering too from injuries. I mean, I was quite surprised to see the list of names that they got going on. But I mean, everybody gets dinged up and fucking bruised here and there. But I mean, between the Texans and the Dallas Cowboys, I mean, we got a laundry list of players just fucking reporting all kinds of little injuries. I don't know if they're just being bitches in most parts or if they're fucking, I mean, they're really hurt. So, I mean, who knows?
Be honest. So Dak is thrown for 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So he's about 50% of his touchdowns are interceptions. I think You know, Deshaun's not looking too much better. I want to say he's 7-4. Who's going to have the more crucial turnover this game out of these two quarterbacks?
I would probably have to say most crucial turnover. Fuck. You know what? I'll give it to Dak because you know what? We have seen Deshaun Watson turn over the ball and survive those turnovers. So, I mean, Dak, he turns the ball over. It's fucking crucial. It's going to fucking end the game. It's going to end the night for the Cowboys because we will capitalize on that shit. Just go to the game film. I mean, every time we get a turnover, we're capitalizing on it in some kind of way or some kind of form where we're changing the morale of the game and we're getting fired back up. So, you know, fucking Dak better watch his shit because he fucks around. He's going to fucking cause a turnover. It's going to fuck the Cowboys over.
All right. So here's the thing. I got one last question for you that we're probably going to end up wrapping things up here shortly. And so, guys, if you have any texts or calls that you want to get in, you know, make sure you get those in quickly. I want to know your opinion. There's been a lot said from the owner, Jerry Jones. You know, the coach, Bill O'Brien, has had his comments. The players have had their comments. I haven't really heard as much from the Dallas players because, you know, Dallas has this stigma. Once you're a Cowboy, you know, they feel like they made it even though they haven't done shit in decades. The old Cowboys could talk that shit. The new Cowboys could, yeah. But here's the deal. I want to know your opinion. Is it a rivalry between the Texans and the Cowboys? What are your thoughts on that?
It is absolutely not a rivalry between the teams. It is a rivalry between the Texans. It is fucking fan-based rivalry. We hate each other to the core, and nobody can say either or.
What's the motherfucking deal? Who we got calling in on the sauce line this evening?
This is Mr. This is Chandler. Here's the thing that we're looking at right now is that if we can beat the Cowboys, the Bills, and the Jaguars, should that put us on notice, or should we put that like on the league notice because the media is just raving about these other teams like around the league, and we have no respect at all, and I find it like very like to be respectful to Houston is that if the media hates us. So that was my question to you guys.
Okay, man. Appreciate the call, Chandler, man. Holding down the sauce line as always, man. Appreciate the call, man. Very good point. This is how I look at it. He says, so if we beat the Cowboys, the Bills, and the Jags, should that put the league on notice? The reason why I would say yes, not because of the record necessarily. We'd have a winning record. That's what we would need to get back in position for a winning record. But the reason why I would say yes is because then you have the Texans going on a nice 4-game streak, if that's the case. And any team, once a team starts streaking a little bit, you kind of want to pay attention to what's happening. What are they doing? Now, the thing about the Jags, though, is with the situation in Tennessee, they almost appear beatable. If Fournette's not out, and this is something that we've said a long time ago, Bortles is almost in a similar situation as Dak. No star running back, then you can't really produce on offense. Now, I'm not going to lie, Bortles has actually put up some numbers this year in a couple of games, I want to say. I haven't been paying that much attention, but the thing is, without Fournette, and Fournette is, I think, unavailable again this week, it's going to depend on what that Jags record looks like, but it does put you in position, again, you have 2 wins, 1 loss in the division. I think if the Texans can get things clicking, and health is a factor too, that if Tennessee comes back to Houston, they will not win in Houston. So I think that it's something to pay attention to. But what will happen is this: if Deshaun goes out and has a highlight game, we'll get a little bit of national attention because Skip's Cowboys. He's gonna have to talk about them. So that everybody who watches which one are they? They First Take. I get them all fucking confused. I think
it's damn it, is it First? No, First Take is Stephen A.
Stephen A's First Take. Who's the other?
Yeah,
I forgot what their shit is. Goddamn.
Yeah.
Y'all know the goddamn.
It's like Undisputed or something.
Undisputed, yeah. And so, my thing is this. Undisputed. They'll talk a little shit about. It just depends on how good of a game. Because what Shannon was. Come on, Skip. Now come on, Skip. Now Deshaun went out there and made Dak look whack. Zeke wasn't a freak. He wasn't able to stop him. Now come on, Skip. He'll be on his bullshit. With his miles and yak and shit.
I would really love to see Skip react to that because he's a Deshaun Watson guy. And he's a Cowboys guy. But, if Watson goes out there and hangs 300-plus yards and finally hits 3+ touchdowns this game, what's going to happen to Skip? Is he going to fucking have a seizure on the show? Is he going to fucking have a fucking stroke just trying to explain away the Cowboys but hype Watson at the same time?
Yeah, we're going to take this call.
On that, this is at Chandler.
What you got, Chandler?
Okay, so here's the thing. How the Cowboy fans they're always we're talking about next year, and then the next year they're always talking about the Super Bowl. And if we kill them or load them out on Sunday Night Football. I think Stephen A. Smith will laugh on First Take, and he's just gonna laugh at the Cowboy fans.
Oh, yeah.
And that's my question to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate the call, Taylor. Yeah, because Stephen A. He definitely gets his little kick with them damn Cowboys fans. I'm sure after working with Skip for so long, having to deal with them. Cowboy fans are annoying as shit. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
And my thing is, real Cowboys fans, you can tolerate them, but it's so many bandwagon Cowboys fans, and those are the worst ones. Even when the Texans had their little win streaks going, where they were actually looking like a good team for a couple of years, you saw people that you never even knew watch football that, with J.J. Watt jerseys, and that's why I have to be sketchy when I see a fan in a J.J. Watt jersey. And if a person tells me that their favorite player is J.J. Watt, I'm usually kind of sketchy. I got to ask a couple of more questions because you have a lot of those people who aren't even Texans fans; they're just J.J. Watt fans, and which is crazy. But people like to jump on the bandwagon, man, and so that's what you have. You have a lot of people who are Dallas fans, don't even know what the fuck Dallas got going on right now. Probably don't even know that Romo's gone. They probably still think Romo's the fucking quarterback or some shit. They probably still think Aikman's the goddamn quarterback. But they sit there. Those are the ones that talk the most. Yeah, we're going to Super Bowl, baby. It's been a minute, right? You drive. You got tickets to the Super Bowl? what do you mean? What are you saying? Because the Cowboys are not going. But if we do blow them out, this is how annoying Cowboys fans are. They will still say that they're going to the Super Bowl. They're going to continue to swear that they're going to go to the Super Bowl until they're mathematically eliminated, and then they'll still try to make up a reason how they're going to get there. You know what I mean? So. That's just Dallas Cowboys fans.
Yeah, it's like I said, man. It's a rivalry between fans because Dallas Cowboys, they can't stop fucking talking about 5 rings that happened 30 years ago. I swear to God, man. You either a grown ass man from the time the Cowboys last won a Super Bowl, or you wasn't even born yet, and you just repping a team that's been shit for the last 30 years.
And that's the thing, man. That's the thing. And you really have motherfuckers who just you either stuck in nostalgia or you just maybe you were raised that way. You look your daddy didn't beat it into your mind because it's some youngsters. Where's old buddy? What's his name? I'm surprised I ain't seen him. Has he been in Zach? Or Raider, where you at? You ain't in here? Because I know he's a Cowboy fan. He's like 10 years old and shit. Now I think he's like 15, 16, talking about, you Dallas going to the Super Bowl? Man, they ain't been to the Super Bowl since you've been in existence. You were still swimming around nutsack, probably even before then. You know, you didn't have to be
He was probably conceived on Super Bowl night.
Yeah. Shit, it did some. Or somebody else's Super Bowl. It's been that long. Shit. This motherfuckers done got licenses, got legal, and able to drink and all that other shit since they last motherfucking Super Bowl. But again, it is what it is. But here's the deal, man. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up, man. I appreciate everybody who called in this evening, man. Showed some love. So shout out to Ernest, Kenneth, and Chandler. Well, I would say congratulations to Kenneth, but you lost. But good deal. You made some plays. So, you know, there's that. I was 50-50 on if we were going to do a den tonight. We're going to do a den tonight, though. We will be in the den this evening. And we're going to be talking about self-awareness. And I think it's a very interesting thing to discuss. And we're going to talk about some benefits and some negatives about self-awareness. So we'll talk about that in the den tonight. I'm going to catch a little bit of the Rockets game. Maybe catch a little bit of the old pigskin game. But Mr. Cheney, man, you got anything you want to say before we get up out of here?
Hey, man, shout out to the chat. I know I'm not the most interesting person, but thanks for rolling in with me, man. I love y'all. I love the call-ins. I love the texts. But shout out to y'all guys. I mean, definitely, let's all show out tomorrow. We got the big interview coming up. We're going to have Mr. Seth Payne on the show. I'm going to be in the chat. I hope you guys are in the chat. We're going to be talking amongst each other, and it's going to be really great to see the final the beginning, not the final, but the beginning of recognition of soft sports in Houston. And we're only going to grow from here. So, I mean, you guys are the day ones. I mean, I'm very, very proud to say that I get to talk sports with y'all. I get to hear y'all's opinions. I get to share my opinions with y'all. So thank you very much for always showing through.
Already, man. And again, yes, make sure if you don't know, make sure you tune in tomorrow. Seth Payne will be joining us on The Sauce tomorrow. We'll see if we can get him to maybe give us a fucking Friday. We'll see what happens. We'll see if we can make that happen. But man, with that being said, we appreciate each and every one of y'all. I appreciate Sauce Nation. I appreciate everybody who's been holding down in the chat, everybody who shows love on all the platforms. Make sure you check the links in the description below. Join the Facebook, Sauce Sports group and page, you know what I mean? So we can keep the conversation going even when the Sauce is not on. I want to say thank you to just everybody who's been holding it down. Make sure you share on social media, tell your people, tell your friends, tell your grandma, all that good stuff about the sauce. And check out staysaucy.com for some of that fresh sauce merch. And to those of you who are waiting on some sauce merch, I called the people. They said it should be ready this weekend. So hopefully I'll be able to get that to y'all soon. So with that being said, I appreciate each and every one of y'all. I mean, from day one to day 101. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that y'all take the time to fuck with this, man, time is the one asset that you can never get back. And so I appreciate it sincerely. No bullshit. Then I thank y'all for fucking with Sauce Sports. Y'all the freshest motherfucking ingredients in the world. Y'all be cool like y'all be cool. Y'all stay saucy. And we out.